Welcome back, everybody. The Wildcats back at home at Arizona Stadium this weekend for family weekend. So we'll go ahead and open up your questions for Coach Sumlin.
After watching the film, how do you think Khalil played on Saturday?
You know, it was some good, some bad. You know, I think you could tell by his body language after the game he was disappointed, frustrated. You know, he did some things that, was like anybody else, I know that everybody focuses on him, but as a team we were inconsistent. And all that being said, he made some throws to get us back in the game at the end. So giving us a chance, you know, in our defense getting some turnovers, but you know, the consistency factor for everybody on this team was what we're lacking Saturday night.
You mentioned his body language after the game. What was your feeling on that?
I mean, I just addressed that. You know, I think he's frustrated, you know, a little bit. So that was obvious after the game.
Did you, during any of these games where he's been limping and so forth, have you given any serious consideration to making a quarterback change?
Yeah, we've always, you know, during the week, in consultation with our trainers and our medical staff, you know, we're never going to put anybody in harm's way. And whether, you know, if he's healthy to play and to do the things that we think, you know, basically the decisions are made to give us the best chance to win the game. And then health-wise, you know, that's a consultation with our doctors, with our training staff, and then with the individual. And so, you know, those decisions are not just, there's not just one thing that goes into that decision. Does that make sense? Like, so all those things are vetted during the week. And so, yeah, I mean, we've had those discussions starting on every Monday or Sunday, all the way up until game time. Go ahead. Hold on.
I was going to say the ESPN sideline reporter said that he's been limited at times in practice. Is that true?
That's true.
How has that, I guess, his injury, how has that affected your playbook and your ability to run what you want, I guess, based on that? You got to say a percentage.
It's affected it. It's affected it. I can't give you a percentage of that. I mean, I don't know. That's a hard question to answer right there.
Have you been giving your backup quarterbacks more reps in practice?
Yes. Yes.
What do you think clicked in the fourth quarter against USC?
Well, the first thing that was defensive stops, right? So, you know, we got off the field on third down, and limited their in the field position change because we got off the field on third down, and then we created turnovers. So those two things where we've been talking about since the beginning of the year. You know, our defense in the second half, really the fourth quarter, was as good as it's been all year. And with third down stops and creating turnovers, I get you back in the game really quick.
Is that something you can build on, like show the guys,
Yeah.
This is how we need to play defense?
Right. I mean, we had third and fourth down stops, right? And they crossed the, you know, when the field position changed, we were able to stop them on fourth down also. And create turnovers in between those series, which gave us an opportunity to, you know, to score 20 points in you know, in a limited amount of time. So things that we have not done this year, which we talked about, sacks, talked about turnovers, talked about third down stops. Basically, that's the one clicking. That's what happened in really the fourth quarter, and which gave us opportunity to get back in the game.
Josh Pollock was 11 of 15 last year with field goals. We didn't see what happened in the fall camp to lead you to make a change, but with what's been going on with the kicking game, are you looking at that position?
Yeah, we're looking at everything, whether it's schematically and personnel-wise in the kicking game. There could be.
Will there be? Do you know if there'll be a change in kicker this week?
There could be.
So Kylan Wilborn got off to kind of a slow start this year, but he's come on the last couple of games. He had this
Right.
sack fumble. What do you think has been the difference with him in the last couple?
You know, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question, Mike, because you heard me during fall camp, right, talking about how much he had improved since the spring. I think he's continued to work at it. I think we've moved some things around schematically, defensively. he's getting some more one-on-ones. I don't think you can, you know, moving, you know, PJ to N. I mean, I think you're creating some other things for him too. Does that make sense? So you're getting a big guy at 330, 340, getting some double teams because he's getting pushed, and he's made a difference the last 2 weeks of playing, and so people are paying attention to that, and so now the edge has become a little bit different. So, you know, I think he's continued to work. He showed really good potential during fall camp. And he's just continued to work at it, and I think some structural changes, some schematic changes defensively have really helped him.
What allows PJ to kind of maybe be a fit for that role? Is it just his speed? Is it, you know, the size that he adds on the
I think it's size too, you know, particularly in a game like that. So, you know, when you have an offense that was really attacking the edges with his stretch zone play, you know, he's an anchor. He's a big guy that can move and hard to move. And so those double teams and things that get up to the linebacker that really you're asking your interior folks to do, to make plays, but also to keep, you know, our linebackers clean. He's able to do that, you know, 2 gaps over or maybe 3 gaps over by playing end and really creating and holding the point in line of scrimmage. So, you know, like I said, we went with our 3 biggest, best guys, you know, in this game last week instead of the rotation with he and Derek at nose, and it, you know, and in the end, in the second half, it paid dividends.
How do you assess JJ's game?
You know, there's more to it than just a running back. So, you know, you've got to have places to run also, and you know, he's a hard-working guy. I mean, he just like last week, he runs for almost 300, and he missed some cuts there. But you know, you're never going to fault his effort. You're never going to fault his want to. But you know, just like anything on offense, defense, or special teams, you know, it's a team effort, and you know that's. You know, we got to block some folks, and we got to create some creases for him too. But you know, you look at his effort during the game, some of his runs after contact. You know, he made yards, and you know, he's always going to do that. He's going to continue to do that. He's always done that.
With guys like Jacob Colacion and Tristan Cooper having pretty good games the other day, do you feel like you're starting to develop some depth on defense, or is it premature?
Yeah, you know, it's as soon as you get that way, Mike, you see we're missing guys, you know, from either injury, but that's football, right? So, you know, this time of year is this, you know, the conversation that we're having, you know, mid-season, you know, that's the way the game goes. And so these guys who are stepping into these roles, you know, that's to be expected. And we've had guys that have missed games or have come off the bench, whether they've been, you know, freshmen and or upperclassmen that have really answered those challenges. Whether, you know, the consistency up front, I think that was a factor Saturday night with Lath, you know, not being able to. I think you see what kind of offensive line we have with him, and I think it's you know, where we are without him. But I did think after looking at the video, I thought that Michael Ortiz came in and did a pretty good job based on, you know, how much he's played and coming in playing left tackle during that game, which gives us even more, I think, depth at that position. Some of these situations that look kind of bleak, you know, there can be a positive to it because of the number of people that are playing. As you pointed out, Tristan Cooper has you know, he's come back and he's really done a nice job on special teams also, and put in those positions where, you know, I think he's made a lot of open field tackles here in the last 3-4 weeks that maybe because he's a longer guy, he's fast, he's smart, you know, he's playing a lot of special teams, but I think he's very, very athletic and gives us a different look in the back end with particularly in the open field and being able to tackle.
Coach, Jarius Wallace at times looked maybe a little overmatched in the run game. I'm curious maybe why you guys saw him as the right fit for that Bandit spot. He's not necessarily the biggest kid to maybe be a run-stuffing safety.
Right. Well, we, you know, there's, you know, we had a couple guys miss games, right? And that being said, you know, the last 2 weeks he's been pretty good. At Oregon State, with, you know, you had the -- 1 rusher, leading rusher in the league coming into 2 weeks ago. And so, you know, he's played pretty well the last couple weeks. Was a little bit inconsistent Saturday night, you know, and as Mike just pointed out, you know, we make changes during games, and try to give ourselves the best opportunity to win games with personnel and scheme.
Is there anything more you want to see from Colin at this point?
From who?
Colin Schooler?
I don't know, man. He's, you know, he's a heck of a player, and you know, we'd like to see some other guys make more tackles than he does. To be honest with you, you know, this guy's he's covering kicks. We get, you know, he wants to play everything, and you know, it's just he is as good a football player as there is in this league. And you know, he's smart. And I said his intensity is contagious. He just makes plays and continues to make them, and you know, cover kicks. And you know, I think there's a direct correlation between, you know, when Tony had to leave the game, you know, we were a little bit different there too. So you know, he continues to quarterback the defense. He continues to communicate well with the players. He continues to communicate well with everybody during the game, and you know, still it's almost double digits every week in tackles, right? So I don't know where he is now nationally in tackles for loss, but he was in the top 2 or 3 there too. So he's, you know, he's playing at a high level, and I don't see that stopping.
This is maybe an impossible question to answer, but I'll ask anyway. Do you think that Khalil's injury is affecting him mentally?
I don't. That's hard to answer for you. Like, I think you started off your question with it's an impossible question to answer. I know.
Is this thing with him something where you might have to think about sitting him down for a week because that's the only way that it's going to get better, as opposed to him being on his?
Just like I said, you know, I think those things are not. That decision's not made on Sunday or Monday. I think it's those decisions are made with consultation with our medical people and him, you know, and so you know, those are there are a lot of things involved in that decision, but ultimately I have to make that.
What's your relationship with Rhett Rod? Was there ever any awkwardness there?
With who?
Rhett Rodriguez. Was there any awkwardness there? Is it just business and things change and you guys just talk football?
Yeah, we just, you know, since I got here, you know, I met with him, and you know, you got to remember I came out here a couple of years ago, and with our staff, and visited with Rich offensively. It's what coaches do in the off season. So no, there was, you know, it was just when you have kids in this business, right? That you know, they get used to certain things, and whether it's difficult or not, you know, you move on. And Rhett's been awesome. And I think you've seen in the games that he's played, he's been very, very effective. And so, no, it's the transition has been, you know, from my end, it's been pretty smooth. And he's, you know, he went from a situation basically in the spring where, you know, he was battling to get on the field, and I think when he's come on the field, he's done a nice job.
What do his strengths appear to be?
Well, you know, I don't know. It's just statistically, it's been pretty good. I mean, he's operated in the offense. He's a leader. He's moved the ball when he's been in. You know, whether it's been, you know, it's been late in the game, but he's taken care of the football and moved it. You know, we've got, you know, all our quarterbacks. We've got the 2 young guys, And, you know, and we've got guys that are very, very capable to play. And so, you know, that evaluation, that you know, those kind of reps are happening in practice. But Rhett has certainly, when he's had his opportunities in real games, has made the most of them.
When you get into this in-season rhythm of scout team and so forth, can you get an accurate evaluation of the other quarterbacks, do you feel like?
Yeah, I think we talked about this earlier, just about, you know, what your plan is during the week based on the new redshirt rule, right? So, you know, the ability for guys to play in 4 games across the board, whether it's quarterbacks, whether it's young players, you know, how you practice, what your roster management looks like, what your travel management looks like, is very, very important, because, you know, these guys have an opportunity to either stay with the 1s and 2s on offense and defense and special teams, because you can play them. And so, you know, what those reps look like, what practice looks like, is very, very different for us this year than maybe it's been in the past.
How did you evaluate that offensive series at the goal line in the fourth quarter, and how did you feel about the personnel you had on the field? There was a lot of talk amongst the people after the game that maybe Gary Brightwell might have been a better option early in that series.
Yeah, you asked me that Saturday night, right? So, yeah, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, JJ jumps over the pile and scores, right? So, yeah, we didn't get the movement we needed early, and got Brightwell in there, and we were able to score. And it's not just, as I get back to it, it takes more than just the running back to score down there. We got to get some movement, which we didn't the first couple times, and we did at the end. But yeah, personnel wise, you know, we were comfortable with it the week before, since he ran for almost 300 yards. You know, we ought to be able to get a yard down there, and the decision was made. As I said, the toughest decision was the 4th down decision, because we needed 2 scores. And so, you know, in a situation like that, you know, and you're playing the way you are, you know, like, if you don't get a yard, you know, you're not going to win the game anyway. So we decided to go for it.
We have time for 2 more questions.
We saw a lot less of Gary Brightwell this week. Was there any reason for that? Or?
A lot less than, I mean, the week before he got, what, 11? 13, right? And, you know, the week before JJ got, what, 28? So I don't think you saw a lot less of him. I think the situation was about the same. He ran for 100 yards on those 13 carries, right? A week ago. So it's all relative.
On that short kickoff you had, Coach, obviously on a long kickoff, the goal is to kick it out of the end zone, but was there any thought to swimming that short kick and maybe trying to pin him in that situation, or is the goal still there?
The goal's still there. That's a dangerous state. Whether they won, they're in the top 3 in the league in kickoff returns. So kicking that ball out, starting at the 25, you know, was the decision we made.
More consideration to an onside kick with the ball being at the 50 than you would?
Yeah,
you know,
of course you do. Yeah, it's like anything, like fakes and everything else, you know. Unfortunately, the fakes that I've run in the past that work are the ones that you do are in your own territory, in the 25 to 35. So, you know, I understand what you're saying, Mike. There's less of a gamble there at midfield, you know. But you look back, and heck, the only kickoff we've returned for a touchdown was a squib kick, right? So it's a dangerous situation, particularly with their personnel that they had, and how they've returned the ball against everybody else they've played. So starting at the 25 was a sure thing. Putting the ball on the ground or popping it up was not, versus their personnel and based on what they've shown coming into the game.
All right, that'll do it for this week, folks. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.